Hi everyone, great to connect with you. I'm just going to be doing, I hope will be quite a short video here, just focusing on the new moon in Capricorn on the 30th of December. Already have a couple of videos out. In fact, I think I've had quite a few videos that I've put out this month, and the next update I will do will be looking at the first half of January 2025 and the full moon that we have coming up then, I think on the 13th. So in this video, I'm just going to be focused on the new moon in Capricorn, which is going to be on the 30th of December. And it's interesting because this is the first new moon, of course, in Capricorn since Pluto has moved into Aquarius. So we're into very different background energy now. And when we think of Capricorn, we think of mastery, we think of discipline, we think of achievement. And Capricorn is also about a sense of security, our practical security. It's very much about building. And so I think this new moon, new beginning, could be about building a stronger sense of practical security that is internal. It's coming from inside us. And we're building stronger long-term foundations because we're coming from our center. I think this is very much what this new moon is about. So it's at 9 degrees 44 of Capricorn. I'll show the chart in a moment. It's actually the third new moon in a row of 6, which is at 9 degrees of its sign. So if you have any planets or angles round about 9 degrees of their signs, almost any sign actually, this whole kind of cascade of new moons at 9 degrees will very much signify a time of new beginnings for you. I think it's going to be a huge time for new beginnings for all of us next year, but just this particular run. So we're in the third one of 6. So let us take a look at the chart, and with every new moon, be sure to set a clear intention. See where it falls in your chart, where 9:44 of Capricorn falls in your chart, and you're planting a new seed for what you want to manifest in your life. So don't forget to set a new intention for whatever you want to create in your life. And that really needs to be conditioned by the house area where the new moon falls. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, you can download a free birth chart from my website. Go to this link below, get a 2-part video series that you can watch to infinity about how to find these points in your chart and what it means for you with every update I do. This is not a personalized birth chart reading. These are teaching videos to teach you how to find these points in your chart and what it means for you. But it really is the beginning of your astrological journey. And as I say, you can watch them as many times as you like for as long as you like. Okay, so let's take a look at the chart. So here we see sun and moon always together at a new moon at 9 degrees 44 of Capricorn. And so as I say, see where that falls in your chart. Now, quite a lot to say about this. There's some big themes coming up. I would, in considering this Capricorn area of your chart, Pluto has been moving through that since 2008. And as most of you know, it only finally exited on the 19th of November to move into Aquarius, which is where it is now. So which house area is that for you where Capricorn falls? What has been transformed over all those years since 2008? Those 16 years since 2008. What has changed for you? What has really gone through a fundamental change, not just a superficial change, but a fundamental change? Because this is the area that is being reactivated again now. So at this new moon, what are you starting to build now going into your future? Because this new moon will carry us into the early energy, the first couple of weeks of January. What are you committing to start to build in 2025? And it may well be something much more authentic. I'm looking at the sesquiquadrate here to 135-degree aspect to Uranus, something much more authentic, unique to you, highly individual, much more creative self-expression perhaps than you've had before. That's a big part of this message of the new moon, of what you're building in Capricorn. It also brings in a lot of revolutionary and rebellious energy, and I've talked a lot about the farmers in various countries, whether it's America, the Netherlands, France, the UK. It's such a literal expression of Uranus revolution, Taurus farming, food production. I mean, it couldn't be more literal, but this really does set up for the beginning of 2025 a theme of more revolution and rebellion and protest. And that's one of the big themes of 2025. I was talking to Kathy Rose just a few days ago. We put out a very long video, over 2 hours long, about 2025. In a few days' time, end of the year, I'll also be putting out another video for themes for 2025, which will look at the year in a rather different way, with a lot more English perhaps and less astrology. So I hope for others of you that will be helpful too. But nevertheless, big revolutions. Also, apparently at the moment, there's a very big revolution by the people and the students happening in Serbia. Because there was a collapse of a railway canopy, I think, on the 1st of November, and people have been in protest against the corrupt government ever since. So this is happening all over the world and will build and build and build going through 2025. But it is part of your greater authenticity, your greater uniqueness that needs to be expressed right now. We also have this very strong opposition between Mars and Pluto. Now, this was exact on the 3rd of November, and then it really expressed as extreme polarization and very high emotion. This is going to be exact again on the 3rd of January, and it's exact again for a third time on the 26th of April. So it's still got some way to run. Now, being expressed externally, it can be brute force, it can be aggression, it can be very warlike brute force, attack. Mars, I really want to emphasize, is very strong here. It's always strong when it's in a fire sign. It's retrograde, which means that it's closer to the Earth, so it's stronger. And as of today, the 30th of December, the day of this new moon, it also moves what is called out of bounds until the 7th of April. Now, what out of bounds means is that Mars is moving beyond its normal orbit of 23 degrees north or south of the ecliptic. And when a planet moves out of bounds, it's said to express in a more extreme way, a more out of control way, a little wilder. It can be fabulous if you're born with your Mercury or your Uranus out of bounds, because it means you're really kind of out there thinker, somebody who really thinks out of the box, ingenious and original ways. But here, this is emphasizing both retrograde and in a fire sign and out of bounds. Mars is strong. And so we may hear from 3D a lot of war drums at this time. Stay in peace. Stay in peace. If more and more of us feed peace into the collective, we will dissipate this warlike energy. You can also use this energy very positively as physical exercise, going for a run, doing something quite primal, dancing, boxing, that kind of thing. It's also about stepping into your own inner sovereignty. Leo, very much linked to sovereignty, so is Mars. Your courage, your conviction, sovereignty and freedom. Freedom, Aquarius. Very much what this theme is about, and that's being really reinforced by other aspects in this chart. Uranus, sesquiquadrate to the new moon, is very much about freedom and about truth. We're going to see an awful lot of truth coming to light through 2025. Now, something else which is very important is that Jupiter, and I've talked a lot about this in recent videos, Jupiter is square to Saturn. They were conjunct at the Capricorn solstice, December 2020. And that was the seed point for this whole new zeitgeist of these conjunctions for about the next 150 years in air signs. Aquarius is an air sign. So this square represents the first kind of testing point of how well is that going? How well are things like the integrity, the morality, the accountability of top-down structures, Saturn, because it rules Capricorn. How well is that going right now? It's to do with the zeitgeist that's set up, the kind of morality, the moral compass of the way society is being built at this time. How well is that going? And I think we can get some very clear answers to that. This is actually a T-square because it involves Mercury. Mercury is opposing Jupiter. They're actually what's called in mutual reception because they are in each other's signs, because Mercury rules Gemini, Jupiter rules Sagittarius, and they're both square to Saturn. Both Jupiter and Sagittarius are about the law and the truth. And they're also about belief systems. So I am filming this at the Capricorn solstice on the 21st of December. And we're going to feel people are feeling it already, this very, very powerful, positive shift of energy that's happening today to again set up the next 3 months, because solstices and equinoxes set up the next 3 months. So whatever our beliefs of the past have been, they are getting a real reality check, Saturn, a real reality check, with all the new facts and information coming in right now, as well as the energy, this incredibly high light that's coming into the earth. So your belief systems will be tested, your belief systems of the past. And so it'll be interesting to see how that unfolds as we go into the early period of 2025. Now, actually, this isn't just a T-square, it's actually a mutable grand cross, because we have the planet Orcus here at 17 of Virgo. So it's pretty tight in this mutual grand cross. Orcus is the Etruscan god of the underworld who punishes those who violate divine law, sacred law. He makes them see the truth and the light. And in addition to that, and it's a bit squeezed in, you can't quite see this, but very, very important aspect at the moment is the centaur Nessus. Nessus is at 17 degrees of Pisces, so Saturn is gradually going to move on to that. I think it's exact, I believe, in February next year, but nevertheless, it's conjunct now. Now, just to remind you, because I think Nessus has a lot to teach us. Nessus in myth, he orbits in the same band of space as Chiron. Nessus in myth was carrying Hercules' wife, Deianeira, and I'm going to put the spelling of that underneath because it's kind of got too many vowels and not enough consonants. He was carrying Hercules' wife across the river, and when he got her to the other side of the river, he then tried to rape her. Hercules saw this from his side of the river, so he sent a poisoned arrow to kill Nessus. It landed in the chest of Nessus, and as Nessus lay dying, he persuaded Hercules' wife, Deianeira, who was tending to him as he was dying, that his blood would ensure that Hercules would always be true to her if she used his blood. So this was clearly a lie. This was clearly gaslighting. But nevertheless, Deianeira, I think I don't know, I've only seen it written, but she believed him. She was persuaded. And when sometime later she felt that Hercules was drifting from her, that he was no longer being loyal to her and true to her, she spread some of the blood of Nessus onto the shirt of Hercules. But she suddenly realized she'd been tricked. She'd been tricked. And she tried to get a message to Hercules to warn him not to wear the shirt, but it was too late. And it killed him. He died. So we are getting some really strong themes here about, the rape of the feminine and Gaia and the toxic masculine, etc. We're getting some very strong themes. Now, the reason I'm talking about this here is that, apart from the fact Nessus is part of this mutable Grand Cross, is that there's I just picked it up a couple of days ago, a really horrific, shocking rape case happening in France. And this is to do with Dominique Pellicot and his wife Gisèle. Gisèle is now 72, and for almost a decade, her husband Dominique was drugging her to allow 50 different men to rape her. 50 different men, and she was unaware of this. He videoed a lot of this, so there's a lot of video evidence. And in the court case, Gisèle could have easily claimed anonymity and kind of stayed in shame almost. But she didn't do that because she knew she was the innocent party of this and she was not going to stay in victim. This has been known as the shame swap. So she waived her anonymity in this case and kept attending this court case, entering the court through the same door as her rapists, all those men, some of whom I think have received 20 years in prison. And she smiles serenely. She smiles serenely through the whole court case and refuses to be a victim. Now, I think this really resonated for me when I was thinking, because, as an astrologer, you see everything through astrological eyes, as it were, because here we're dealing with the law, Jupiter and Sagittarius. We're dealing with the truth. We're dealing with Pisces, drugs, deception, poisoning, videos. Nessus is also about poisoning, deception, gaslighting. But no longer, Pisces can often go into victim. Very much the shadow side of Pisces is victim. And so she refuses to play the victim. She's standing tall in her power and her strength. And I think she's a symbol not only for women, but for humanity. Because what all of this period in history is about is humanity stepping out of playing victim. We are stepping out of this hologram that we've been living in. We're stepping out of victim, and we're going to be learning through 2025. One of the big themes is stand in your power, stand in your center, stand in your sovereignty, with strength, with peace, with serenity, as Gisèle is, but with power, with strength. And I think that's really fascinating. And just one other thing before we go back to that kind of theme. So it really hit home, that whole court case for me. We also here have another important aspect is Uranus square to Venus. Now, this can operate on a personal level if you either have Uranus or Venus at 23 of Taurus or 26 of Aquarius in your 5th or your 7th houses. Then this can be, if you are single and you'd like a relationship, it can be sudden out of the blue relationship with somebody very different in background, younger, different nationality, perhaps. Or it can be if you're in a relationship, there's a strong need to break free. Strong need for freedom, because Aquarius is ruled by Uranus, very much about independence and freedom. But this too shall pass, so don't act too precipitously. But this can operate at the relationship level. It can also very much operate at the currency level. Stock markets, currencies, we've seen a lot of volatility recently with the cryptocurrencies. I think we are going to see one of the big themes next year is financial volatility in stock markets, currencies, all assets, I think, are going to go through periods of volatility. And that's partly because the outer planets are all changing sign as well, but it is going to be volatile. But coming back to, this whole idea of serenity and standing in our power, and what are we building? What are we building at this time with this new moon in Capricorn? I think looking at the conjunction here of Neptune with the North Node is on the world axis, 1 degree of Aries, and very much the new beginning, the big new beginning for the collective. The new beginning has to be birthed in unconditional love. Unconditional love, that's Neptune. And it has to be birthed in a spiritual context, in stillness, in bliss, and with heart coherence. Heart coherence. It's very interesting here that Mars in Leo, heart, is tightly trined to this North Node. So this is energizing this new beginning. Because if you can feel into dropping into stillness, being in bliss through your breath work or your candle gazing or your bare feet on the grass, getting into a state of heart coherence, that is the best possible place you can be as we enter 2025. That really becomes your almost your weapon, your power to navigate the very intense dynamic energies we have in 2025. I cannot emphasize that enough. And we've also, to help us, got this beautiful trine between Jupiter, which expands everything it touches, and Chariklo, beautiful Chariklo, the centaur. She is also about the Buddhist eternal state of being. She silently is the soul midwife to help people move from life to death. She is there in transitions of consciousness, and with her very presence, her state of being, she can heal. So this is all about this state of silent, still, unconditional love as well. So, we have some very assertive energy here with Mars opposing Pluto, but we have some really beautiful solutions here to how we navigate this. And so build through peace, build through stillness, build through bliss, I would say, is a very good way to enter the new year. And just to end this, really, I'd like to end quoting the Sabian symbol for 10 degrees of Capricorn. As you probably know, when you're looking at the Sabian symbols, you always have to round up to the next degree. So we're looking at 10 degrees of Capricorn. I can stop sharing here. But 10 degrees of Capricorn, remember these Sabian symbols were channeled by a medium called Elsie Wheeler in the 1930s. The great astrologer Dane Rudyard talks about them as well. And the symbol for 10 degrees of Capricorn is radiating peaceful harmony and the albatross feeding from the hand, i.e. that this person is able, almost like Francis of Assisi, to radiate such peace and love that a wild creature like the albatross will, in trust, come and land on their hand and feed from their hand. And you can see this in people sometimes, that they just radiate love and bliss. It's a radiant presence, if you like. It's a radiant presence. And I was reading what James Burgess has to say about this Sabian symbol, because he expands on the meaning of the Sabian symbols. Very good person to follow for these. And these are his words. He said, if we purify the heart, then we radiate love to all beings and trust in the certainty of serenity and joy. And all beings will sense that, all animals, all birds, etc. And as we move forwards, really, I think there are two, as so many of you can obviously see, I think it's undeniable that there are two very different timelines opening up. One is most certainly a technological timeline, a synthetic timeline, where there may be some very advanced technology and nanotech and chips and all kinds of things, invasive technology. The other is heart-centered. The other is a heart-centered love timeline. And I know which one I'm going to be on, or I'm aiming for at least. So I hope that's helped you. As I say, it was just focused on that new moon. And the next update will be about January. But I'd just like to take this opportunity for those of you who celebrate Christmas or are taking any kind of rest time over the holidays. I hope you have a wonderful time with friends and family, a very loving time. And I'd just like to thank you from the bottom of my heart for all the love you send me, all the beautiful comments and support you give me, because I obviously wouldn't be doing this without you. Because I share these messages for you, and it touches me, all of your messages. I try and read every single one, and they touch me really deeply. So God bless, and have a wonderful holiday period, and not long at all until we start rocketing into 2025, and what dynamic energy that is going to be. I will put the video that I did with Kathy Rose below this video, so you can check that out too. It's very comprehensive. God bless. Thank you for listening. Bye for now.